Greetings, I'm John Douglas from the North Georgia class of 1964. I want to welcome you to this video today. The video is part of an overall speaker series that is being sponsored and hosted by the University of North Georgia Alumni Association in conjunction with the North Georgia Core Cadets Association, the Women of North Georgia, and the Young Alumni. We are really fortunate to be able to bring you such a program. This is all in preparation for the sesquicentennial, or the 150th anniversary of the university, which is coming up in 2023. So we've got a lot of different programs that you'll be able to watch over the next 18 months or so from representatives from all of those various organizations. We'll have speakers about leadership, we'll have speakers about job placement, networking, interviewing skills, all those kind of things. But I'm going to bring you primarily something we're calling golden memories and moments. This is kind of the history of things at North Georgia, not solely on the university itself, but some of the parts of the university. We'll be talking about the Core Cadets, we'll be talking about the women in North Georgia, etc. But let's go back. The University of North Georgia was founded in 1873, as most of you probably are aware. But we really need to go back to the 1820s to begin to understand what the university is really all about and how it came up into being. It was in the 1820s when gold was found in these mountains around North Georgia. And it was actually the first true gold strike in the United States. And as a result of that, the United States Treasury Department built the very first branch mint outside of Washington. And that was constructed started in 1834 and was completed in 1837. But again, prior to that, around, let's say 1830 or so, was the height of the gold rush. And the actual center of that was in a little community just south of Dahlonega called Auraria. And some of you may have ridden through that back when the highway was called 9E. If you were coming to Dahlonega, that was not unusual to drive through there. But in those days, it was the largest town or community within the state of Georgia. Now, understanding we're not talking about homes, we're talking about people living in tents and camping, etc. But it became the largest community in the state. So as a result, the governor at that time, who happened to be named Lumpkin, was given an opportunity to name a county for himself. And he chose Lumpkin County in North Georgia around the gold because he figured that was going to be the thing of the future. Now, same time approximately, he could have had an opportunity to name a county around a place called Terminus, which in turn he allowed him to name for his daughter, Martha, so it was Marthasville. Well, if you really know your Georgia history, you know that Marthasville eventually became Atlanta and the capital of the state. But anyway, so much as far as the background is concerned, the gold was here, the mint was here, but if you also remember your U.S. history, about 1849, there was a place out west called California that had a big gold rush. And there were people beginning to leave here because it was getting harder and harder to mine in the fields of North Georgia, and they keep hearing all these stories about how rich the gold was in California. Well, there was a fellow named Smith who stood on the town square, and you probably have heard the phrase before. He was trying to convince people, don't go to California. There's no reason to go to California because there's gold in them thar hills. And if you've ever heard that phrase, it's been used in some of the movies and some of Broadway plays, but that was where it originated, right here in Dahlonega. But he was trying to convince people to go. Had some luck, but not completely. Well, 1861, the Civil War, or the war between the states, broke out, And as a part of that, the Confederate States Army took over the U.S. Mint that had been built here in Dahlonega and took about $6 million worth of gold when they did it. But that was the end of the Mint. Well, at the end of the war, post-Civil War, about 1871, as I recall, there was at that point, a Colonel William Price, who was from the area and had been elected to the U.S. House of Representatives. In his role, he was able to convince the U.S. Congress to donate that property, because it was again back part of the United States after unification, to the state for a college. And it was the first, in Georgia at least, I know what's called a land grant act. And the land grant had a lot of different aspects to it, but one of which was really key, and has been for years now. If the college was set up as a land grant where they were giving them, it had to be co-ed. So North Georgia has been co-ed since day one. Also, the incoming class asked that the model for the school be set up around a military college organization. So again, one of those historical facts that you'll probably want to tuck away somewhere, but North Georgia has always had a Core Cadets and has always had women. Anyway, that gets us to 1873, when the university was given, or when it actually started, but it was given the old Mint and 10 acres around the Mint. And that was the home of, first it was called the North Georgia Agricultural and Mechanical Arts College, shortened to just North Georgia Agricultural. Agricultural, pretty obvious. The mechanical arts really related to mining, since there have been so many mines in the area. And it started out that way, but with the difficulty with the minings over the years, that began to fade into the background. In the first graduating class, which I believe was around 1877, again, there was a woman. Now, the woman happened to be the daughter of the president of the college at that point, who was named David Lewis. Again, from a historical standpoint, there was a fire in 1878 that destroyed the old Mint, which at that point had become part of the university, or college, I should say, at that point, and it burned. But they were able to rebuild it, and eventually, after Colonel Price died, which was about 1908, the building was actually named for him, and so to this day it's still referred to as Price Memorial. But back to the topics that we plan to cover in this series of golden moments and memories. We hope to be able to provide you with a lot of history, but also at the same time bring you up to date on what's going on in these various parts of the university. We've got a great legacy, we've got a great history that we all should be aware of, and sometimes things begin to fade away, or maybe you never knew them. Maybe you were never a history major. But we intend to spend time talking about these things, not just on the Dahlonega campus, but also talk about the Gainesville campus and how Gainesville State became a university or a college. And how did Oconee become a part of the mix? We'll talk about the Cumming campus, which was built just a few years ago in most people's mind, but we've actually had a history way before that in Forsyth County that relates to our education department. And obviously, most recently, is the new campus in Blue Ridge, excuse me. That one is the smallest at the moment, but probably has as much potential as any of them. So again, we hope to be able to cover all 5 campuses and talk about not just the things that I have mentioned, but I want to make sure that we also give you an opportunity to hear about the great legacy that we have when it comes to academics. We're privileged now to have one of the strongest academic universities, certainly in the state and within the South. We've got multitudes of new academic majors and degrees that were never thought of just a few years ago, in such things as foreign languages and in as it relates to computer information and the cyber area. So there's a lot to talk about when it comes to academics. Athletics, we cannot ignore athletics. Athletics has been a part of the university college for years and years and years, including, even in my day, there was 11-man football, pads, full pads. There has been certainly a strong history when it comes to baseball, basketball, and on the women's side, that has really excelled in the areas of softball and women's basketball. Both have been division champions and continue to lead us well. We also have an opportunity to talk about the Core Cadets. And the Core Cadets, while one of the 6 essential military schools in the nation, continually leads that group of 6 with such awards as the MacArthur Award, which we've won numerous times over the years as the top ROTC program in the nation. Ranger Challenge, which is relatively new to a lot of us, but Ranger Challenge is something that measures military skills against other ROTC units, against active duty units, and against West Point. It's usually held at Sandhurst in West Point. We've done exceptionally well there. This summer, we've got more cadets going to summer camp than ever before. The last several years, we have graduated and commissioned the largest number of lieutenants that we have in our history. And that goes way back, as we've already discussed. But understand that as it relates to all the 6 essential military schools or senior military colleges, we've commissioned more in the last several years than any others, second only to West Point. We probably also should take some time at on one of our sessions to talk about the buildings. And again, not just the buildings in Dahlonega, but the buildings in all the other campuses. Why do we have that building? Why is it named for that particular individual? We'll probably spend some time talking about faculty and administration and what maybe some key administrators and staff folks that come to mind that you might have had a favorite name for. We're going to talk about all those things. One thing that I really think that gets overlooked a lot, and I've got to do a little bit more research on this before I'm ready to bring it to you, but the impact of the university as far as the economic impact, supposedly just on 21 counties in northeast Georgia, but in actuality, we have a much greater impact than that. It is phenomenal, the millions and millions of dollars that are generated by this university and all of its various campuses. And then when we go beyond that and we start talking about the impact that we've had with various alumni and faculty and how they have integrated with the local governments throughout Northeast Georgia, it's quite impressive. So you can see we got a lot of things to talk about. Some of the things that we will probably also touch on. Did you know we had a Pulitzer Prize Award winner that was an alum? Did you know we had a Medal of Honor winner that was an alum? Did you know that we had the distinction of not only the first woman in first class, but North Georgia was the first military school to admit women to the Corps of Cadets. We've got over 50 flag officers, general officers, admirals. And best we can tell, as a percentage of the size of the Corps, that is the most of any of the other 6 military colleges. Obviously, the West Point would have more, but as it relates to senior military colleges, with the 50 flag officers, we're pretty sure that's the highest ratio. So, as I said when I started out, we hope that you have an opportunity to tune in on a regular basis. A lot of different topics. We'll be with you with the golden moments and memories, but there's an opportunity for you to not only understand the history and the legacy and be proud of it, but it's also an opportunity for you to spread the word to other alum, to family, to friends. The university needs your assistance in a lot of different areas. We've had a remarkable run as far as the number of new students applying. The pandemic has slowed that down. Now, we're still better off than 90-something% of the other universities in the university system, but we could use some help in bringing back the outstanding and good students that we need. We obviously need help with recruitment for individuals that qualify to be in the Core Cadets. Everybody can't be in the Core Cadets. They got to have certain grade point averages. They got to have physical abilities. They cannot have certain medical conditions. They got a big problem all over the country is obesity. So when you begin to cut that down, there's a very, very small percentage of the potential to be able to be in the Core Cadets. So the university could use your help with that. And obviously all these things that I've mentioned, which I didn't even talk about when we're talking about the academics, that we've got an unbelievable record in the last several years with providing scholarship candidates for well-known scholarships, Fulbrights, Goldwassers, things like that, that would never heard of in years past. But with current administration, they have been able to work with the students and bring them to the forefront. We got a lot to be proud of. We got a lot of great history. We got a lot of current history and accomplishments, and we're positioned for the future. So we hope that you'll continue to watch the speaker series. We hope that you will tune us in, keep us on your radar, so to speak. Our sessions will probably be short, maybe no more than 15 or 20 minutes. But anyway, thank you again for coming. Go Nighthawks, and remember the Core.